An air guitar master.
Listener warning. Everything about this podcast is offensive and often stupid.
Live from Toad Hall in beautiful downtown Racine, Wisconsin. It's the podcast that was way too drunk to record on Saturday. It's Guys, Games, and Beer.
That happens.
Yeah. Except for me. But
Yay.
everyone else, and I don't know how to run the camera.
Yeah, we're a little bit
We're
laid back right now.
It was so bad on Saturday that everybody had to spend a day recovering Sunday.
Except
it was
for
really,
me.
yeah, whatever, man. You're too cool for school. We get it.
I wish I wasn't too cool for school. I like being uncool. Being uncool means I get to be drunk.
Well, that's
Yep.
a note.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, we did have Mech Night on Saturday, and does anybody remember the movie?
Barely. I barely paid attention.
Robot Wars. Right?
It was one of the Robot Jocks. Yeah, it was the last of the Robot Jocks films. Now, was that an official? Do we know? Where the hell's Tom?
I thought it was an official but not official weird thing that was released. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
I heard there was a lot of cardboard boxes that were spray painted silver. Is that true?
Yes, there were. Also, the guy who played Dexter's dad was the main star.
That is awesome. Do the pterodactyls. Pterodactyl arms.
Not robot movies are not my thing. It's robot games for me.
Yeah, fair. We're gonna be talking about those too. All right, so I've got Mech Day notes.
Yeah?
I actually made some. I made them short because I figured we'd be pretty lit when we did it, and I didn't want to read through a lot of them. I was really sad. By the way, we recorded the N64 episode on Mech Day, and I was visibly lit. Yeah, I was in pretty bad shape for that one. So I had to read a lot more notes than I had expected to on that day. But anyway. All right, so Mech Day notes. A mech is a large battle robot, may be used for construction as well or other. Yes. A couple of stories tall or taller, and generally housing the pilot, and in some cases, a crew. They are not to be mistaken for battle suits, which are much smaller and more maneuverable, thus exo armor. A great way to tell if you're in a mech is that if the leg of your vehicle gets blown off and you can walk away, you're a mech pilot. If your vehicle leg gets blown off and you spend the rest of your life with a peg leg.
That's a really good rule of thumb.
I think that's a good one. I wrote that one too.
If one of your friends doesn't make it back as that leg, you're a Power Ranger.
Ooh. Yeah, if you lose a friend, you're a Power Ranger. That's right. Voltron too, right?
Voltron, yeah. Zoid.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Mech is generally considered to be short for mechanical, as is the Japanese term. Do you like that? Mecha. But some folks say this term is somehow short for battle tech.
No, battle mech.
Yes.
Or,
But though
Battletech.
right, but battle mech. But that is crazy because the word battle mech has mech in it, which is short for mechanical. So, those people should be considered mentally unstable and possibly dangerous. I was a little drunk when I wrote these, can you tell? Just a little. Just a little bit.
We established this earlier. When are you not drunk? Never.
Well,
I mean a little bit. Buzzy. Yeah. When I'm totally smashed, I guess, is when I'm not drunk. Yeah. So anyway, the Japanese term mecha is generally considered broader than the term mech, but encompasses it. In other words, their kind of mecha term has a whole lot of different meanings.
All mechs are mecha, but not all mecha are mechs.
That's correct.
It's kind of
And you cannot bring the mech to mecha.
It's kind of like how bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskeys are bourbon.
I believe that's really good. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. So yeah, Mecha can be remote controlled, fully robotic, or piloted, and can greatly range in size from small to impossibly huge. Mechs are always piloted and range from huge to impossibly huge.
I'm confused. Are they always piloted or can they be remote controlled? Because I always assumed mechs always have the pilot inside. Yeah.
Mechs always have a mecha, however. God, I hate using the term mecha. Not the way I pronounce it anyway.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
That sounds like the Holy Land.
Yes. Yeah, it does indeed.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks.
To the east.
So, the first occurrence of mecha being piloted by a user within a Yes.
Aliens.
Yes. From within a cockpit was introduced.
And we took it first.
Just made a more encompassing word for it.
I think the British get it. Wait, introducing. Yeah. Mazinger Z was like the first in 1972. However, if you go back to books, you can go back to 1880 where Jules Verne actually had him in the steam house, where they had a steam-powered piloted one, which was much like the ones that the Orcs pilot. Yes! Yes, like Wild Wild West.
Like the best movie ever made?
Did we have this discussion before that Wild Wild West wasn't that bad? Who was that I was talking with?
Probably my dad. I don't know. Like I really liked Wild. I don't like. It was campy. It was ridiculous.
Right.
West.
It's a bad movie, but like you said, it's campy, but enjoyable because it's ridiculous, and just the style of the movie is just enjoyable because visually it's really cool to look at.
Plus, one of the best Will Smith songs attached to it. I mean, there are definitely like better non-movie ones, but it's like way better than the Men in Black song, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
I'm okay with that. No, I'm okay with that. I think Wild Wild West is okay to mention. There's mechs in them. Because they are directly controlled and piloted. They have like 6 legs, but we're not going to get into that. In United States, the modern idea of... This is an awesome story, by the way. The modern idea of a mech started with FASA's 1984 Battle Droids board game, whose advanced rule set became really close to what the modern mech games are like. 1986... The name Battle Droids was changed to Battletech due to George Lucas's trademark on the word droid, you F-tard. I hate you, George Lucas. I hate you.
Where are those droidicas?
To be fair, if I could, I would go back in time and kill George Lucas with a shovel. Anyone get the reference? Come on, Patton Oswalt, you guys. You're no longer my friends.
Well,
Friendship over.
I do know a good portion of Patton Oswalt's. If he met George Lucas before he made the prequels, that was pretty good.
Pretty sure it's the same thing because it starts off as having time machine. He would kill him with the shovel, and then goes into that whole rant, I believe.
You're exactly right. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, quit. I gotta move the freaking thing back and forth. Oh, hi. Sorry about that. We're on the air, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, anyway. Pass it to each other, damn it, if you're gonna do a back and forth. No. Or else put your heads together and get real close.
Maybe a little something.
Yeah, okay, so,
Wait, which heads were you talking about?
either or, my friend. Either or.
Whichever ones make the most noise.
Yeah. The first pretty... By the way, the first printing of Battletech is actually labeled the 2nd edition.
Really?
Yep, Battle Droids is considered the 1st edition.
Okay.
How cool is that?
I'm sure that Battle Droid
I did not know
is very
that.
expensive to purchase.
Yeah.
I bet you're probably right.
Not everyone has Verizon money. That's
Have you ever seen it? The mechs are like made out of cardboard.
I just like doesn't it have the hexagonal.
Yeah. Yep. It looks okay. I mean, you know. Anyway, the franchise was created by Jordan Wiseman and L. Ross Babcock III.
Cock the third.
Babcock III. Anything to say about that, Travis?
I want to start calling people Babcocks now. You're such a Babcock. You fucking Babcock.
Don't make me punch you in the Babcock.
It's almost racist.
I feel like I understand why he made this game. He probably had a rough childhood and not a lot of friends.
Well, that's rough, man. Well, you can send the hate mail to Tyler at guysgamesandbeer.net. That'd work, too.
why I did that.
Oh, Here's something else I didn't know. In 1996, Wizard of the Coast made a collectible card game based on BattleTech.
What year?
1996. It was called the BattleTech collectible card game. I didn't know there was a card game. I just noted it because it was interesting. And I don't care about the rest of this because this is basically about video games that have been turned to it. But
And we'll totally get to this. But I mean, I just want to say, I'm really disappointed on why mechs aren't more popular in the U.S. I mean, like, they're huge in Japan and anime and like culture. I mean, Gundam and Evangelion and like, but like here, you know, and like I think BattleTech is a really cool universe, and I think there's a lot to like. It's a very expansive and like really great games have been made out of Mech series. I mean, you got Armored Core, you've got the BattleTech universe and Mech Warrior, you've got and like some are better than others, obviously, but I just don't see why it's as big as it is over there. Like I think that. You got Space Sims, which are like a niche, but they're huge. Like, they're people who are studying it, and like, that's another kind of similar niche. Mech kind of like Space Sims, but it's not nearly as big as the space people are.
I feel like one of the major factors with that is, I mean, obviously, with Space Sims, it's very easy for travel and things like that. But with mechs, you can incorporate. I know a lot of series have like Gundam and stuff like that, where they can travel through space. The big thing is exploration. Wow,
That's fair.
I feel like that's probably it because you notice as time has progressed and games got more advanced, exploration in general has become more important and almost a part of every game. Like damn near every other freaking game is open world. Not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's an observation.
Games all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I do absolutely agree that I think it's a shame that mechs aren't more popular.
All right,
in the US.
everybody's seen the culturally relevant America. I forget the name of the company. Challenging Japan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that's going to be badass. Better happen sooner rather than later.
I have a feeling it's probably going to pan out and not be enjoyable, but I'm
it's
very
not-
pessimistic, but I want it to be awesome so bad.
It's not going to be like a super exciting fight. These like robots are very slow and clunky, but I think it's cool nonetheless that people are doing. It's gonna be a publicity stunt.
Oh yeah.
Do you think the U.S. team? Do you think the U.S. team even stands a chance? I've seen the technology on both sides.
Curitas has a lot of flair. And then they're gonna have to build entirely different systems to do any damage. Right now, it's a toy. It shoots a minigun that shoots airsoft BBs and like all this other stuff. It's beautiful. It looks nice, but it does nothing that has nothing on it.
Targeting system.
It has.
I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it activates with your smile.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of gimmicky stuff, and like it's cool. Like it's like not realistically, we're not gonna have these advanced fighting robots that are gonna be able to like actually be war machines, but it has nothing that will do damage to the American mechs so far. So they're gonna have to be. They would spend the next year definitely building real weapons on that thing to crush it.
Well, that's my point with it.
SRX.
Well, that's my point with it kind of panning out is how are they going obviously they're not going to act because there are people physically in these machines. They're not going to be able to go around like, hey, let's just break this into pieces and potentially kill someone. It's not going to work like
That's
that.
how it should
They're going how it should work.
Obviously.
But, well, maybe international watch. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, but that's why I feel it's going to pan out is because probably to watch is probably not going to be that exciting because they're going to have point systems and all this stuff. It's just probably not going to be enjoyable. I want it to be, but I just have a feeling it's not going to turn out that well.
I have a feeling it's going to be about as enjoyable as Robot Wars was. And it's going to look a lot the same. So
slow moving and awkward?
basically that, yes.
So you mean it's gonna be like us on Saturday?
Well, I mean, Saturday especially, but yes.
There's a difference between slow moving and awkward and stumbling, drunk, throwing up.
It'd be more fun if they were stumbling drunk, don't you think?
So they'd be Bender. Got it.
Right.
So, are we gonna get into talking about piloting mechs?
Yes.
I think that's.
You know, I had great handouts for us that I left at the bar on Saturday and probably got thrown out. But yes, we're going to talk about how to control a mech. And what do you think is the best way to do it?
Got some good tips.
All right, here you go.
So basically, and honestly, it really depends on what game you're going to be playing. Popular ones. And the thing is like, there hasn't really been any recent really big mech games outside of Mech Warrior Online, which is still very niche. And you've got like other like classic favorites like Armored Core, Steel Battalion, the Mech Warrior series. I think there's a pretty steep learning curve to a lot of the more impactful sims, like or the depth ones, like Mech Warrior. You have so much customization. You choose a chassis, you kind of modify what your armor is on each and every level. You equip weapons and modify ammunition. You have to like stick to a strict tonnage on it. So it's really, there's a lot of learning to it. I think the first thing you can do is mess around with the controls a lot, and really don't be afraid, especially in the more involved sims, to change the controls to your liking. If you're playing with like a keyboard, mouse, or a controller, definitely like one of the best ways I have an advantage is I see a lot of people hopping on it using the default controls and trying to learn. When I specifically am like, okay, I look at the controls, I kind of set, like in Mech Warrior, for example, I set all my weapon groupings, I have it set so, you know, hey, I just press a button and it fires 3 weapons at a time. Make sure your stuff's configured to the way you like it, because there's a lot of buttons in these more in-depth involved sims. So really don't be afraid, and I think a lot of people who play space sims are very similar. Like, there are very few people who keep the same kind of controls. They kind of keep it to their liking because there's so much stuff to remember. So you really just kind of do it to what you feels right for you, and that really helps you.
Play to your style.
Yeah, really helps immensely with that, rather than just kind of hopping on default controls. I am a huge Steel Battalion nut, and they've got those very large, elaborate controllers. Unfortunately, those controls are not customizable. They are what they are. So sometimes, again, it's a steep learning curve just to get the controls down, but
And an investment, too.
yeah.
Also, I don't know how well you'd face off against like a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it really depends on the game. Yeah, if you're in like Mech Warrior, using a Steel Battalion controller for that sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, I have to be very precise, and like, yeah, it just doesn't quite work. So, and the other thing is really kind of learning the universe you're in, because, yeah, again, the games like Mech Warrior, games like Steel Battalion, yeah, the BattleTech universe, there are tons of different mechs, and like those games tend to include a lot of them. And it's like learning kind of like, oh hey, like a Bushwhacker's like a medium class mech that can house, you know, missiles and lasers, while an Atlas is a 90-ton juggernaut that fucking moves slow as hell, and you kind of gotta know what you're up against. And like I've seen, especially I'm much more of a Steel Battalion nut again. I've seen people play these tiny little mechs, JJ specifically. How it works in there is like you get 100 points to spend, and you can spend 100 points on one mech, or you can spend 10 points 10 times for 10 mechs.
Yeah,
So it's like,
faster, like
legitimately, it's called Vitsa Ninjaing, and he has a tiny little fast mech. He runs around in guns. He dies, and as long as he ejects his pilot, he gets in his next mech, and he gets back out on the field. And he'll legitimately just annoy the crap out of you, because he only needs to blow you up once, and he has 10 lives.
I couldn't find him. That
So
was
it's like,
driving me
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, or like the sheepdog in Steel Battalion, like always having radar and always being able to see your enemies no matter what they do and stuff. It's like really learning what the ins and outs are, and I mean, again, it's gonna be if you want to play casually, it's a little more difficult. You might want to stick to more of the action-oriented ones like Hawken or Armored Core, but
No shame in him.
no, I love Hawken. Hawken is so good, and it's starting to make a comeback, and I really hope they keep doing it. So,
I mean, and there's a lot to be said for Armored Core's difficulty. I mean, I suck at those games. They're really hard, especially because their control schemes they're not wrong. They're just different from the way a lot of American games are programmed. I mean, all of the movement controls are different than you'd think. Even though they already had the DualShock controller, you didn't use the joysticks very much. You did all your strafing and other movements with the D-pad and with the trigger keys.
And for God's sake, if you're on a PC, don't play that game with a keyboard. It was Armored Core was not made for a keyboard, and people who play with a keyboard get miserable. They really do in that game really fast. It's meant to be played with a joystick. Hey, Doug, we'll take a break after we talk about this in a little.
All right, well, I'll finish my thought. I kind of going off with what Travis was saying. I feel like
came to the right place.
that's one of the biggest issues is just in general the learning curve with mechs, because it's already like a niche type game, and I feel like that's one reason why a lot of people don't approach it, because anytime you do, if you simple it down, it pretty much becomes like a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter at that point, and takes away from it really being a mech game, at least to me.
Yeah,
At least to me.
I think that's not the games, by the way. That's
Yeah.
one of the
Well,
big
the
differences.
thing is like
I'll get into that in the next segment. But
Hawken is like a game that walks that fine line of being like, oh, this is kind of a mech sim, but it's still like very arcadey, and like it's pretty much like a first-person shooter with mech skins on it. But it's got the customization and stuff, and like I think that's a really big difference between games with giant robots that are pretty much shooters, and then the whole mecha genre, which is a pretty big distinction to make.
yeah, that's a big. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's one thing that's held me back from playing a lot of mech games too. Like, I think Steel Battalion's awesome, but I'm never gonna put out the money to buy a controller
We have
set.
7 of them. You could say, hey, Travis, let's play some Steel Battalion. I would be like, I would love to.
Okay.
Please don't play some.
Sometimes Travis sneezes and one just comes out of him.
But and that's kind of how I feel about it. But I mean, back in the day, I played a hell of a lot of Armored Core, and I really like the game. I think one of the most cool things that I don't remember which, it might have not been Armored Core, but mechs. People think of like kind of like what you think Gundam's, like a person-shaped vehicle, like a suit. And I think one of the things I really liked about like Armored Core is they had different types. They had things that were literally just like giant tank bottoms. They had multiple leg things that would move around too, and it would affect their speed and how they would move. And I think that was really cool. And one of the things you really need to consider if it's in the game is that instead of just going with the basic standard like 2-leg whatever, because they change the play style a lot. With any mech game that has customization, anything you do will change its playstyle a lot, but that is one thing people don't think about a lot, is how critical movement and the way the mech moves is. Like you were saying with JJ and stuff, so.
Yeah, it is. And to that point, one game that is literally just a first-person shooter, Titanfall, because you can jump out of your mech and let it run around by itself, and then you run around as your pilot, the difference between how it feels to run around as a pilot, as a person, and how it feels to run around in the mech makes it actually feel less of like a first-person shooter when you're in your Titan. So I think that game does actually a pretty good job of defining and differentiating your control of the vehicle versus a first-person shooter, because they do fundamentally control differently. Running around as a pilot and running around as a Titan are two very different beasts.
And Advanced Warfare, because it totally stole the entire play mechanic from it. Which makes it great.
Of course!
But yeah.
Most of the best ideas are stolen.
Weren't
Rob.
those exosuits? I didn't really play it.
Oh, yeah, I think they were.
They're tall. They're really big.
Okay.
That's true.
They are very big.
I didn't play either, because I was like, do I really need another Call of Duty game? No.
That
No,
particular
I don't.
one actually is probably the best one in a long time.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's like the best one since like
if you hate cheaters,
Modern Warfare 2.
it really helps even it up with the cheaters. But
Yeah.
we're talking Max. All right,
Yes.
well, we're going to take about a 5-minute break, then we'll be right back for more abuse.
Warning! This next segment has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the podcast. If continuity is something you require in your life, you might want to just skip to the next sound. That said, this segment is kind of funny and features people we randomly met at the pub.
No, that's the only guy I play on Smash Brothers.
So
Smash Brothers.
Pokemon Yellow?
No, Smash Brothers.
Okay.
No!
Definitely.
No! She said Yellow Charizard. That's Yellow Pokemon Yellow. Don't give me that. No, that's Pokemon Yellow.
We just repeat
Well, that's just.
I'm literally a parrot. I'm literally a parrot squawk.
No, what is this? Mario Super Smash Brothers?
Mario Party 2 is the best because of Hot Jump Rope. Can we talk about Hot Jump Rope
Talk
real
about
quick?
Hot Jump Rope. Okay, we are gonna talk about Hot
Well, I'll be damned.
Okay, so, all right, that's fine. All right,
You finished up your damn gin and
Just drink
tonic
my
before I
goddamn
stole it? That's not right.
drink my gin and tonic. Okay, continue. All right, so that
Well, I
was
only had 2.
Wait, who won the lightning round?
We're not done
Winning.
with the lightning round yet.
No, we're in it. Favorite video game character?
Yellow Charizard.
Oh, Princess Peach, obviously.
So we're not gonna get out of that game, are we? You are just gonna be stuck in that game until the end of this show. All right, Matt, you're up. You can ask a question.
Which Smash Brothers game did you play? Do you know?
Yeah, there's more than one Smash Brothers.
I only have one brother.
That was a good answer. I'll go with I only have one brother. That's good.
Well, I only have one brother.
I don't even know what Smash Brothers is. Is that the
Explain. Well, no, because she doesn't know what the game is. You need to explain what is.
I just roll on the ground and swoosh you up.
But what is the game? What's the game? What's the concept?
You kill people. I don't know. You don't kill. You kill their lives.
I beat him up.
You beat them up. You don't kill them.
And then you take the little special items and you just smack them.
Oh, go. So sometimes when she drives, I think she drives like a Mario Kart person, and I'm.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's like swirl, 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 and I'm like, gold star. Like I don't understand why you're driving so fast. Like I just don't understand why she's driving so fast. There's no mushroom. Like just stop.
see boxes on the road. Do you try to hit them?
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Okay, Tyler, your turn. And then after this, we got to stop.
Oh hell, I don't even know what to ask.
You gotta come up with one good.
One
Let's
good.
go in depth, okay?
Okay.
Serious? Serious? Serious faces on. Serious faces on.
We've had a lot of debate recently about the difference between mech games and mecha games. Go.
Mecha games compared to mech games? Mechanical games compared to
What's the other
mecha?
game?
What's mecha mean?
Mech games versus mecha games.
What does mecha mean?
Let me think about
Well,
it.
there's a couple things that mecha could mean. I think we should be fair enough.
Okay.
It could be
You wanted to
the Japanese version of a mech. It could be the place where Muslims play too.
I don't think that's what we're talking
That does happen. I mean, that is one of the things that it could be.
But
Or Japanese dance moves.
now that
I
it could
believe
I would go with Japanese.
You
dance.
may be correct.
I'm going with Japanese.
Wait.
I'm going with Japanese.
Because I can't compete, can we ask her to please show us what a Japanese dance move would
Yes.
Oh, please, yes. Okay, that's mecha.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Or else, like, would it be the robot?
look like? No, that's mechanical.
Yeah.
See, that's
There we go. I think we're good.
All right. So, one last question. Oh, never mind. She's dancing. She's got this.
There's no questions, Tom. She's dancing.
She's dancing.
Just
no,
answers.
No questions.
Just
I'm
answers.
dancing. All right.
Okay, go.
All right. So, give them the choice. Would you rather play a card game, board game, or video game?
What's the first one?
Card game,
That's a good
A
one.
card game?
board game, or video game?
Card game.
Have you ever played the game on your phones? It's an app. You download it and it's called Headbands or something. So you say a word and you put it on your forehead and then you you see the word that's on his forehead and you like try to get him to guess it.
What kind of
Oh,
game?
it's like Indian.
It's Indian.
And then you go whoop whoop if you get it right and you go if you get it fast.
That's very cool. All right. So now, would you consider that though? Do you consider that a board game, card game, or video game? Now it's based on just an old card game. I don't know if I really call that a video
Oh,
game.
card, not card.
Card. Yes.
Got it.
Card.
I thought you were saying car. Like,
Well, good thing Larry's not.
Technically, it is a video game. Any way you look at it, it is a video game. But, I mean, yeah, you're not using physical things, but it is a video game. However you look at it, it is a video game. Because there's so many games that are still technically, you could just boil it down to the basic
but
parts.
if you have to choose, if you sit down with a group of friends, are you gonna whip out the N64? Are you gonna whip out the Xbox?
I
Or are you
like
gonna
the N64.
grab out like?
I used to.
Apple,
I know.
or-
I used to. So in college, I always had the N64, but I loved my Sega because I would play Bomberman all the time.
Hell yeah.
Nice call.
That's
Now
a good
that,
call.
See now you. That,
Bomberman's
wow.
the shit.
Did you just win the
Barman.
show?
She just
I
won
think
the
she just won the show.
Bomberman. She won the show with
I
Bomberman.
can't.
You gotta give us
Give it a
okay,
try,
so
give it a
again,
try.
if you're with a group of your friends,
A card game?
board
Is there
game.
booze involved?
Of course there's booze.
On all three options, right?
There's no question that
yeah,
booze
no.
is involved
I
every
always play
time.
drunk
okay?
driving
Guys.
Mario Kart, where you had to
Oh,
finish your
oh,
drink
oh,
before
whoa.
the end of the race.
Okay.
Before the end of the
Hate
race,
to
you had
say
to
it,
pull
she
up to the end of the road.
pulled
She does play
She
it.
just
I can
pulled in the
validate.
lead. She just pulled in the lead with
I
that
just
one.
now- I
Literally.
can't-
You had to pull off the side of the road, finish your drink, then finish your race and get first place.
We do that all
the
the
time.
time.
That's
We
my
talk about
favorite.
that all the time.
It's my favorite. On N64 though, not the new shit.
No, the N64 is fucking awesome.
Not in real life, just in Mario Kart world. Not in real life.
no.
No, I think she's saying you're doing it in real life.
I think she's thinking it too, but I don't.
She doesn't.
All right, so Rob,
Just go
I
for
think
the
it's time to take us out of this extra segment.
Wait, is this the lightning round?
No, we're done with lightning round.
When did lightning round end?
Oh, he's done with us.
After we asked the last question.
I think they're.
I believe Tom is done. Oh.
To edit this down. So, on that happy note, Rob.
So you're like really expecting me to edit?
Yeah, I am expecting you to
Yeah,
edit
okay.
a little bit, all right? Okay, give it. Well, Rob, step. Wait. No, behind that. Yeah. Go.
This has been another Guys, Games, and Beer Extras. Thanks for watching. We always wonder why you do.
God, we don't wonder why you watch.
Right.
All right, take us out. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being the guest.
We're back for the second and probably drunker half of Guys, Games, and Beer.
I mean, wait, what do you mean probably?
No, I'm
Most.
drunk are more drunk.
While our drunken quotient
There's a lot of.
has gone up,
Yes,
Tom has joined us.
Add one more person to the drunk list.
How you feeling, Tom?
Shall I lie?
Yes.
Life is fucking awesome. Things are going so well for me. God, it could not be any better. Go ahead, continue.
For those of you who don't know, Tom just had a huge polyp removed from his anus.
You should have seen it, dude. It was shaped like Italy. It's amazing.
So you literally had a boot up your ass?
Yes! Yes! You got the joke!
Nice.
You said it right before, and I'm so proud of you.
All right, sorry about that. I have some notes before the second part. We're going to talk about mech games. The best mech game. There are some notes left. Oh man, this is not good. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of mech gaming history. G4 TV claims that Battlezone is really a progenitor to mech games.
Wait, is that still a thing?
Yeah, they said this in their article, Mech Games.
What?
Yeah, G4 TV has a website. Mech Games, a history from Battlezone to Hawken, published last year. These people should generally be considered mentally unstable and possibly dangerous, okay? Look, mechs crush tanks like bugs. They are not like Battlezone. Shut up.
Just being like, hey, I'm gonna walk in a giant mech and I'm
That's
run
just
over
silly.
buildings, tanks, aircraft carriers, anything. You know, just crush anything.
The whole point of a mech is you are the thing that crushes the big shit.
Yeah. Right. Slash blows up other mechs.
Shut up, G4 TV. That's why you died. All right. So anyway, that's terrible. So apparently there's still a website because that was published in like last year.
Wow.
Still a thing apparently. Unless I was drunk when I took these notes.
Quite possibly. And you admitted to it earlier. Damn it.
Right, from a gameplay standpoint, mech games generally have a separate hit point system for the individual systems, such as torso, head, individual weapons, systems, and engines. We kind of talked about this. There's usually some kind of heatsink function and power management. If you are playing a giant robot game without these features, you are probably playing a mecha game. You traitor, die. Okay.
But that's a good point to bring up. That is the big difference between mecha games and mech games. So mechas basically are just powered suits that you're wearing.
Or a whole bunch of different. Yeah, we covered this in the first. A whole bunch of different stuff. But yes, I agree. And by the way, I don't hate mecha stuff. I love playing some of the mecha games. So I just joking.
Some of the best fighting games out there.
Sure, and you know some of their battle games are great fun too. But all right, so best mech game in history.
I am not qualified to comment on this.
Penis.
I am unqualified.
Okay, well, Matt and my penis have the same opinion. All right, I probably had a few too many gin and tonics. I'm just saying.
All right. I'll let you guys go. I'll let you guys go. Let you guys go first.
All right,
Travis is going to take them.
I'll take last. Yeah.
Okay, well, the two that I really remember playing and really enjoying for best, it's one of the Armored Core series. It's Armored Core 2 specifically. I played the hell out of that game. It's a PlayStation 2 game. It was great. I mean, tons of customization. I mean, relative to Mech games even, I mean, not as much. But, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. And the controls and everything were great. The other one was Mech Force, the turn-based strategy game that was A great game, as we've done multiple times, is just get guys together, friends together, sit down, drink some beer, and try and kill each other. As everyone
Also
should do.
Extremely difficult. We've gone over this when we were back to audio podcast. But yeah, no, it's a very, very. If you're playing against a computer, you're almost always gonna lose. And even on the easy settings, they're like retardedly hard. It's just really bad. It's very, very difficult to play against computers. But if you're playing against each other, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I do remember the computer is insanely difficult and will just destroy you completely, mentally and physically.
That's not the version that's on the PC, is it?
No, he's talking about the Amiga version. I'm gonna go with Tyler on this one. Mech Force all the way.
Or Battle Force, depending on the generation.
Right.
If we all were drunk on Saturday, that was our plan.
Right, but we were all so drunk it was too late. Yes. But here's the thing. It really is, when it comes to, it was turn-based. It played just like the FASA model game. So the miniature game from them, I mean, just like it. The rules were identical. Weapons were identical. Mechs were identical. So much so that, like Travis referred to, if you've heard our podcasts, the author got in a lot of trouble and had to yank the product, and that's why it never really came out as a commercial release. It only came out on the Amiga. No, I shouldn't say that. It has been re-released for the PC, just not as good. This guy was really good. He was a military simulator writer and did just a perfect job on it. The AI is...
Was the translation done by him, though?
No. The AI is wicked freaking... and it doesn't cheat. It doesn't cheat. It's really just that good. Some games they cheat to make the more difficult. No. This one's just really wicked smart and attacks you with mercilessly. The game itself plays great. It's again, it's a good group game. It had full progression systems. You could have, in the later versions, they started developing it so you could develop your pilots. So you had things like piloting skill and engineering skill.
Like an RPG almost.
Yeah. It really was, and you could really and if you actually were doing kind of good at it, maybe able to build your character up a little bit, nothing was more heartbreaking than all of a sudden dying. Oh, yeah. So it was one thing you could eject and get captured, and then you get ransomed back and lose all your shit. That was bad. That was bad enough. But occasionally you die, and when you die, man, if you had made any kind of progress in the game. Oh, it just killed you. It just killed you.
Like when you're playing like Pathfinder and DD, a character dying, it's just like, my life is over.
Yeah, pretty much. So there were a few times I lost characters like, no.
Even in the heat of it, you wouldn't play it for months because you get so pissed off when you lost a character and you forgot to back them up. Yeah, by the way, so if you're playing Mech Force, back them up. Back them up, boys. Yeah, I'm going to third that. Mech Force... Come on, we've been playing it for 20 plus years. Wait, man, almost 30? Has it been almost 30 years we've been playing that game? At least 25.
Yeah, 25.
At least, yeah, 25 years.
We should just randomly message that guy and see if he'll come down for an interview.
I already had tried to get a hold of him. Nobody's been able to get a hold of him. I'm not sure if he's dead or what the situation is on him.
Yeah, but this guy's getting a beer, for Christ's sake. He's got to come on this show. Yeah, I will say that over the years, Mech Force has given me more joy than any other Mech game. In fact, few games have met the joy it's given me, either emulated or on a real solid computer.
I just want to say that's kind of why I brought it up, is because I totally agree. I haven't played Mech Force it was only been a couple times, but still, every time I played it, it's been amazing, and still one of my all-time favorite memories is hanging out at your house, sitting in the living room, and just playing that, having beers, and just having a chill-ass day playing it. It was like a Sunday morning or something, and it was like the best time ever.
Yeah, and use whatever controller you want, because it accepts everything.
That was the cool part, too, and that was really actually clever. You could say, okay, I'm going to use the mouse to play, or I could use the keyboard to play, or I'm going to use the joystick to play, and then you can assign people to different parts of it, and it supported them all beautifully, worked perfect with each one. That was a nice touch on the controller part, that you didn't have to sit at the keyboard. You could give a couple guys joysticks, let them use the joysticks. Somebody else could be using the mouse, pass them around, so it plays well with a group like we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was love that game. Have nothing but good to say about it. We are almost like the Mech Force Love Club. I mean,
What we should do, I think what we need to do is a Let's Play, a Mech Force Let's Play.
oh, we should.
But let's take it one step further. Let's do a Mech Force, how to set it up on your PC, and then followed by a Let's Play.
That is a brilliant.
Let's start it on my NVIDIA Shield. Remember? Remember I showed you a picture of that? Just to screw with him, I put it on my NVIDIA Shield on an Amiga emulator and just ran it on the Shield. It is pretty sweet.
It's a sweet game.
The only problem is the disc swaps are a bitch. And there's a lot of disc swapping, people.
What about dick swapping?
We'll talk about that later.
After the show. After the show.
After the show.
All right.
All right.
You can take us out on this.
Well, I mean, like, I'm gonna go with one, obviously, and like I've talked about before. One, the straightforward Steel Battalion, and the other, the obscure. It's called Phantom Crash. Basically, I think that when it comes down to it, Steel Battalion, I have an argument for this, is probably just as easy as Mech Warrior. There are more buttons to Steel Battalion, but the rule of thumb is if you keep an eye on your joystick, and if a button flashes, press it. It's almost just as easy as Mech Warrior. Like, and I think if not easier, because, like, Mech Warrior can get really fast and arcadey paced, and it's really easy to just kind of, like run like, if you know what you're doing, obviously, you can kind of tactically plan out assaults. Mech 2, 3, 4, mercenaries.
There isn't a lot of fast movement.
I don't know. I mean, you're getting some pretty high speed combat. It's not like you're jolting around in these jetpacks or anything like that. Not like yeah, but it's still pretty fast compared to Steel Battalion. Steel Battalion, you have a lot of time to plan, to move around. Like, you can get pretty fast, but nowhere near as blazing fast as you do in Mech.
By 4, the combat was really fast and fluid.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, like,
A lot more blind.
I do have to say that's correct. I mean, like, I liked 2 a fair amount, but it's like by the time I got to 4, it's just like, all right, everybody's just running around in circles shooting each other. And it's just kind of like, eh. But it was like a Steel Battalion. It legitimately comes down to, it's like, you have to learn maybe about 12 to 14 buttons, and that's realistic. I mean, the Xbox, you're already coming to, and then basically everything else is like, you want to change a magazine, you run out of ammo, that button starts flashing, you touch it. You're on fire, the extinguisher starts flashing, you touch it. Like, it's pretty, yeah. Your eject button flashes, you hit it. It really comes down to knowing like 10 to 14 buttons, and then hitting everything else that flashes on there. It's really, and like, if you really know what you're doing, you can kind of get a little bit of an edge by adjusting your maps and kind of like scanning around and stuff. But for the most part, like, I think there are way harder games, and it's not nearly as hard as people like to make it out. The controller's daunting, and yes, it does have a pretty deep skill cliff, but I say there are a lot more modern games that I've learned that are way harder. I mean, like Monster Hunter, or I think Artemis is maybe just as hard. You know, they're great games.
But Artemis is harder, and if you think about how many people
You have to coordinate.
to do it,
Yeah.
you have to get them to play right.
Yeah, you have to get 5 people together that know what they're doing, and then you can be halfway successful at
One
Artemis.
person coordinating those 5 people to make them successful. Because
Right.
I don't care how good those 5 people are, if you don't have one person who knows what all of their functions need to do, you're screwed.
Or you could just have the one person like, hey, this target's like a foot away from us. Nuke.
So yeah, I really think that Steel Battalion gets a lot of flack. It's such a good mech game, and I really think it's gonna stand the test of time. And like, as you know, another 10 or 15, 20 years.
Battalion 2 that people hate.
Yeah, the heavy armor, it was Connect based. Let's not talk about that. Yeah. But like, I legitimately think it's gonna stand the test of time, and it's really gonna be a hot item coming down the road. You know, it's just like there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it, and I've gotten so involved in the universe, like legitimately I've like printed out like books so like of all the different mechs and all this stuff, so people can kind of see. I've kind of like ripped, like, some people have made some really great training videos for these, like in legitimately like 10-15 minutes you can learn how to play by watching these really, really great videos online. The obscure one I'm gonna go for is Phantom Crash, which is much more of a mecha style game. It was like Hawken before Hawken. Like, came out American release on North American Xbox, the original one, and it was this really, really good middle ground of kind of a mech customization, kind of a la Armored Core, as well as kind of like a shooter, and it was just, nobody's ever heard of it, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's so good, and you could get it easily for like $10. It's a really, really good, cheap. You can drop a lot of hours on it. I've probably dropped about 150, 160 hours in that game. It's a lot of fun. There's probably about 2005, 2006. It was mid 2000s. For the original Xbox, it's got split screen multiplayer. That's not that good. It's mostly a single player experience. But the single player campaign is just so fun. And like legitimately, like it wasn't that expansive of a game. Like you legitimately played probably only like 3 or 4 arenas. But the mechs, the control, the levels they had were really good. It was very well designed. The mechs were well designed, and it made it a lot of fun.
I think I actually remember this game. 'Cause I remember there's a specific game, a mech game that you really liked that was on Xbox that we were playing once when we were younger, and you gave me a copy at one point, and I think I never played besides when we hung out, and I'm pretty sure I have a copy just sitting at home that I'm going to have to go home and check out now.
There's another really, really good mech game. It's now defunct, unfortunately, because it was pretty much online only. It was called Chrome Hounds for the 360. It had... So basically, the only offline part was like a 6-part tutorial mission, but the rest of it was a massively online world that constantly was... Basically, you joined multiple factions and then battled across territory.
Isn't that on the PSP?
Possibly.
Is that a PSP?
I know it was on the Xbox 360.
I remember it
that.
being on the 360 for sure.
Yeah,
I
it was a
remember
really
it
good
being
mech game. Unfortunately, when the servers went down, that was that.
I do remember that one as well. Most of my knowledge of mech games does come from him secondhand because he knows all the things.
Big mech nut. So.
True.
That's still an understatement.
I misspelled it. Crime Hounds.
Crime Hounds.
This sounds like it should probably
All
be
right,
a game
let's stop
too.
the show while Rob
Yes,
Googles.
well, I Google. Very exciting show item there. All right.
great.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. Games and Beer.
Specifically for watching him Google things.
Yes, especially that part. Please visit us at www.guysgamesandbeer.net. On Facebook, free games there and all sorts of crazy conversations going on all the time at www.facebook.com/guysgamesandbeer. On Twitter, there's also some strange stuff going on there, but also free games. That's at guysgamesbeer. No and there, folks, because Twitter is a worthless piece of crap. If we happen to be on Twitch, which we are randomly, I think we were last week for about 10 minutes. Yes. Yeah, about 10 minutes. That's Guys, Games, and Beer. All right, thank you very much for watching. Please, if you're watching us on Facebook. Facebook. Yeah, screw Google+. Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks. Oh, yeah, same thing with all those other places. Bye.